Thank you everyone for joining today for Vidhyan Wednesday sessions. I heartfully thank my Guruji Brahmarshi Pitamaha Patriji, PSSM and Anapanasati meditation. Also, I thank this wonderful women-based platform called as Vidhyan Worldwide, through which we connect every week and we help ourselves by spiritually empowering ourselves through the practice of right meditation and by listening, hearing the right concepts, and sharing our experiences. Today, on this Vidhyan Worldwide Wednesday, this week we are going to share we are going to understand a very important concept, which is about the consciousness, the five stages of consciousness. If you would have carefully observed, today I ran a poll and I've asked, where do you feel that you are most comfortable, or what do you prefer right now in this current situation? Do you like playing individual, or do you like being a part of the group, or it is the option C where it is both, or the option D where you're not sure where do you actually belong to? Did this kind of question any time come into your mind saying, am I an individual player, or I'm better performing or participating in a group? Where does my growth lies a lot? Is it individually when I sit in retrospect, or when I'm in a part of a huge gathering and just going with the flow? Which is more important? Being giving more importance to the self or giving importance to everybody? Does these kind of questions keep lingering in your head as the situations keeps coming, or are you very clear about it? So to understand which is better, an individual consciousness or a group consciousness, to understand that better, we have to understand the five stages of consciousness. So consciousness is something which expresses itself differently at different levels of life. Like, sorry, like when we are at our home, we act, behave, perform, respond differently. And when we are at our workplace, our traits changes. When we are individual, like when we are alone, we behave in a different way. And when we are in a group, we do it in a different way. It is the same personality, but with the situation, with the people, with the location, our behavior traits changes. Similarly, consciousness expresses itself differently at different levels of life, and everything is right. So it is the same intelligence, but the different degrees of awareness. So, first of all, before knowing what are the five stages of consciousness, let us understand what are different consciousness levels. So, one is mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, second one, third is animal kingdom, fourth is human kingdom, and fifth is divine kingdom. So each kingdom has different stages of consciousness. For examples, minerals. Minerals don't think, they don't chase, they don't react. Yet they are perfectly ordered. If you see rocks, crystals, and all those, mineral kingdom and all the mineral kingdom categories, they live for eons, right? They live for eons. So, what does their consciousness actually look forward for? If you just ask, can you be a witness and live for eons? We'll say, no, we have so many things to do. I can't just witness. Why? Because we are not in that stage of consciousness, we are in a different stage of consciousness. So, in Mineral Kingdom, the stage of consciousness is all about stillness, it's about structure, it's about stability, it is about memory. That's why crystals hold, you know, different different energy, and not different energies from different eons, different decades. It will have all the energy in itself because it has holded it, because it is there from so many eons. So here in mineral kingdom, the consciousness learns how to how to stay. It is just focused on existence, but nothing else. So nothing is missing there, but also nothing moves. But everything is perfectly still there. Second kingdom is plant kingdom. So in plants kingdom, what kind of consciousness is there? It is growth consciousness. Plants, what does it has? It has movement without any ego. You'll see, did you anytime see an egoistic plant? No, right? Why? Because there is growth, there is movement, but there is no ego because that does not exist. So plant shows growth, okay? It shows adaptation, it shows sensitivity to light, water, season, but there is no personal ambition for any plant. It just wants to grow vertically and horizontally. If there is no human existence, there is, no minds involved, then the entire land part of the earth will be full of greenery because the plant grows, then the seeds comes, then it falls down in the soil again, even that will grow just with the help and support of the nature. Why? Because the very system in the plant's consciousness is all about growth. So consciousness learns here how to expand without any kind of identity. Whereas if you look in humans, if there is growth, there is also ego. There is a lot of personal ambition in any kind of human. Everyone has a desire, right? Now, the third kingdom is animals' kingdom. And here, the consciousness is survival consciousness. Here, animals add emotions, it adds instincts, bonding, but still no story about self. Animals operate through fear and safety, attachment and protection. You can say emotional intelligence, present moment awareness. So, here consciousness learns how to feel and respond. An animal reacts, but it does not carry any kind of, past burden with it. And also, it does not have any personal ambition there. Why? Because there is no ego. Now, coming to the fourth kingdom, which is human kingdom, here enters the consciousness of ego consciousness. So, this is the most important part that we all need to understand. Human beings are the first where consciousness becomes self aware. Ego, what is ego consciousness? It means I am, my choices, my responsibilities, memory of the past, projection of the future, my identity. So all these things comes into human consciousness, which is human ego consciousness. So here the consciousness, when we are in this stage, the consciousness learns how to choose. So ego is not wrong, ego is necessary. Without ego, there is no kind of accountability. Without accountability, there is no growth. Especially in the humans, also, especially to the women, only a category of women knows or takes that conscious choice to choose for herself. Otherwise, generally, the decisions are taken by others. So, here, although ego consciousness is there in a woman, but it is not active. So, ego is not, I'm not talking about the pride ego, but here the ego means choosing something for your own self, for your growth. Let us understand this after understanding all the last kingdom and consciousness as well. So the last one is divine kingdom. Divine kingdom, here the consciousness which comes is oneness consciousness. Divine consciousness is not something, we become permanently, but it is like we touch base and we come back. So, what is oneness consciousness? It is the dissolution of I. There is no I. There is no separation. You and me are not separate. There is no ownership. There is no doer. So, these are the key traits of divine consciousness. So, here consciousness remembers that it was never separate. So, this state is meant to be visited but not to be escaped. Like, it happens in spirituality many times where people, after they become spiritual, they say, I'm not going to do these works, I'm not going to do this, I'm from the divine kingdom. Divine kingdom doesn't say do not take responsibility, it says keep visiting the state where we all are one. So your inner state should be one, but when it comes to outside world, you should be taking charge where is needed and you should let go where it is not needed. So, to understand this, let us understand especially these two modes better. The two modes of consciousness. I consciousness, which is nothing but human consciousness, and the second one is also called as group consciousness, which is there in divine consciousness. So, what does the I consciousness asks for? If I am an ego driven person, again, here ego is not the pride, but it is the trait of the human consciousness. Okay, so this is the consciousness where choices has to be made, boundaries has to be set, responsibilities has to be taken, skills must be built, the law of karma should be processed. So when you are there in the mode of I consciousness, what does it teach you? It teaches you decision making. It teaches you accountability. It teaches you self trust. It teaches you emotional maturity. And why do we need all these things? Because it is essential for personal growth. It is essential for being a leader or having leadership qualities. It is very important for one person to heal their trauma. It is important for a person to build discipline. It is important for a person to create a structure. It could be in career, family, service. Without a healthy eye, surrender becomes an escape. Like, you're not ready to take care of any, you're not ready to take accountability for yourself. You're not ready to take responsibility. You're not ready to choose what you want. You're not ready to set up any boundaries on the name of divine existence. No, we all are one. We all are one, but that should be the inner feeling. But wherever you have to take responsibility, you must take responsibility. Okay? Now, let us understand the group consciousness. Group consciousness is nothing but the collective awareness. This is the consciousness of belonging. It is a consciousness of flow. It is a consciousness of, you can say, shared intention. It is a consciousness of non doership. So, what does a group consciousness teaches you? In group, you have to let go of control because there are 10 more people there or there are 50 people there. You must trust in life. You must be humble. You must be compassionate. And there should be interconnectedness. And where is it all essential? Group consciousness helps in deep meditation. It helps where seva comes. It comes where large group practices comes. It comes where healing has to happen. So without group consciousness, individuality becomes very, very rigid. So Coming back, what does I consciousness it offers is it makes you go deeper. If 1 year you're working on yourself, what happens? You become a deep person. You expose more to the ego, you take more responsibilities, you build strength. Okay, so this phase is more harder and not longer. So most people, what they do, they avoid this I phase and they jump into group consciousness phase. Means they don't want to do anything alone because there lot of skills or lot of self development is needed. So they hide in groups so as to avoid their own selves. On the other hand, group consciousness has subtler lessons. It requires a stable I. Group consciousness will test your surrender. It will refine your humility and it dissolves the authorship very naturally. So, group consciousness is very lighter, but only when the foundation is ready. If suppose your I is not stable, then even though you're in group consciousness, even though you're in a group, you suffer a lot thinking, what is my identity in the group? So, I consciousness gives you depth and group consciousness gives you breadth. Depth without breadth is rigidity, and breadth without depth is dependency. So, it is not about, or I would say, a common spiritual mistake is many people think or they say that group consciousness is higher. Definitely, see, if you see, each consciousness has its own pros and cons, it has its benefits. You must be a part of the group, but also you must take care of yourself. You must not avoid taking any personal responsibilities. You must not avoid the individuality. You must not uh, ignore things and just say, I'm a part of a group. That's not evolution, that's regression. So it's very important. Where are exactly we standing? Are we working on ourselves or are we just in a group to avoid things? See, there are so many groups. For example, I'll tell you, groups are also, we must choose the right groups for ourselves. There are survival based groups. Okay. Then, if you see, there are growth and achievement based groups. There are identity and ideological groups. Then, there are healing and self development groups. There are spiritual practices, groups. Also, there are oneness based groups. So, which group are you choosing is also very important. Suppose after hearing the session, you feel, no, now I have to be a part of the group, and you go into a family group. Family group is always not meant to be, it will not raise your consciousness always because family members comes with what intention are they gathering? That's very important. But if you go into a friends group, you deal with the heart chakra because all friends, although they might have difference of opinion, finally they all are connected because of the heart. Suppose if you go to a meditation based group, what happens? Your inner gets starts getting corrected. I always see, for example, very recently on 21st December, on World's Meditation Day, with 5,000 masters, we have celebrated World's Meditation Day in Shimoga, where it was a 6 hours program. We had Anadana, then there was meditation, group music meditation for 3 hours, then there were speeches, culturals, followed by lunch, and it was a great celebration on World's Meditation Day. But one of my crucial observation after there was it's been almost 3 4 days now. Okay, still that I has not come out. That I consciousness is still not coming out. It is taking time for this inner system to getting recalibrated. Suppose if you are a person who feels, I have high ego and I want to really reduce it. The best part is attend mass gatherings of meditation programs, because there people come with a pure intention of meditation. When you participate in such kind of gatherings, the I reduces. So what happens when you are in the gathering? The inner systems change, the I reduces, and the group consciousness increases for that day or those few hours. And when you go back, what happens? Your system recalibrates. So the portion of I overall in your system decreases and the group consciousness increases. This, how many ever days you sit at home, read books, do meditation at home, it will not give much results, or it might take hundreds of years. But participating in one group activity, it will bring lot of changes which has to come in many years. Even for that matter, last time when we went to in September, when we went to Leh Ladakh trip, all women, everybody were individuals. Mostly people were individual people have come. Here and there were groups, but mostly it was all individual people. Before we went itself to almost, I think, 4 5 days before we started group meditation. So what happened? Everybody started gathering and connected to that was started connected to that group consciousness. So there itself, it was an energy field to everybody started connecting, and there was a oneness. By the time the trip was started, it was already like we all were in one single flow. All the 7 days when we were in nature, it was just one consciousness. It was one group consciousness. In that one group consciousness, what happens? I will tell you. There are 50 people. One person could be great in there expressing themselves. One person could have lot of healing energies. One person would have some other skill very much. For some person, they might have a lot of peace inside them. One woman may carry a lot of nurturing energies within her. So what happens when we are in a group? The energies, the skill set, everything also gets collaborated. I have something to offer, the other person has something to offer. When we are in a group, we don't consciously think, but energy beautifully works in a way that whoever requires whatever thing, it goes here to there. And then after the group, it could be the trip, it could be a gathering. Once it is over, you feel you're upgraded. As I told you, after coming back from Leh Ladakh, the patience and tolerance in me has increased like anything. Before also it was there, but now it has vastly shooted up. How did that happen? Of course, because of nature, also because of group consciousness. Women itself is nothing but an embodiment of patience and tolerance. So the energies beautifully gets exchanged and we get what we want. Not what we are asking for, but what we want, what the inner systems want for its growth. There are so many things which I wanted in myself, which I wanted to improve in myself from past 2 decades. But after one 8th March Vidhyan session happened, lot of changes came. After one Buddha Purnima happened, lot of things changed. After one Leh Ladakh trip happened, so many changes came. So if you see, there is a pattern behind it. Everything is going in a wherever we are operating in groups, changes happens very fastly, very quickly. Now, if you ask me, am I an individual player or I'm a group player? I would say I perfectly balance both the things. Whenever there's a gathering, whenever there's a tour, whenever, we all people come together, I am an excellent group player. I know how to blend with the group energies. But when that gathering is over, once that tour is over, and once we are back to our own respective lives, I'm a perfect individual contributor. I work on myself and I also very beautifully blend with the group and receive what I want and give what others want. And that happens very naturally. So, we as a person should be a mixture of both. If you are not working on yourself and only corely depending on the group, then you're missing a lot. Similarly, if you say, I'm alone enough to change things, no, you need group. If you have big goals, missions in your life, you cannot play alone. You cannot be an individual contributor. You have to go along with people, but without forgetting why you're doing it. I want to teach meditation to all the 4.1 billion women on this earth. I want to make all the 4.1 billion women sit in meditation. That is my individual goal and target. But in this process, I will meet, I will gather, I'll get associated with lot of other women because it is a huge project. Everybody who thinks in the similar wavelength and energies, we all will become a group. So we must always focus on two things: individual growth and the group consciousness. Whenever you get a chance to attend any right gatherings, please go, because it will change, it will fasten your progress, spiritual progress, and other times work on yourself. So that's it for today for this special topic, Masters. And now coming to three important announcements. One is in the coming year, we are doing WD2, that is Women's Day Massive Meditation Program 2 on 8th of March 2025, which is on Sunday in the Bengaluru city. So the venue is yet to be finalized, but I invite all of you to come and meditate on Women's Day in this Vidhyan program, because it is going to be one of the powerful programs which is going to happen this upcoming year. So please be a part of it. This is the first official announcement I'm making online. So everyone, please be a part of it. And the third thing, Akashic Record Counseling. So all the women, please share this news to the people around you, to the women around you who feel stuck in their life and who needs clarity of how to proceed further. The entire last week, I was not able to take these sessions because of the tight schedule which was going on in my correct curriculum, and the sessions will be resumed from the next 2 or 3 days. But until then, you can enroll for the session. Thank you very much, Masters. I really appreciate your patient listening for the last 45 minutes. We will again connect next week. Thank you very much, Masters. Bye bye. Have a great night.